Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of this The Kirtland Warner Show. Today we have a young lady that is vying for a parliament seat in the upcoming election for St. Martin. She goes by the name of Miss Veronica Jansen Webster. Miss Webster, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Could you let the general public and the entire world know who is Veronica Jansen Webster?
Well, Veronica Jansen Webster was born and bred in St. Martin. I grew up here. I left when I was 18. Just like many other young people like myself, I went to the Netherlands. And in the Netherlands, I studied mathematics. I specialized in statistics. I came back to the island. I then worked for government. I studied public administration when I came back to perfect my work in government. And I worked in statistics in government. So I worked in economic affairs, where I did a lot that had to do with statistics. And now, I can say I've been working 18 years in total in government, but I had a break in the middle where I was the director of our energy company, GEBE. And that happened, that changed, that switch from statistics into the energy field happened when I got the opportunity to work in the cabinet of the minister in charge of energy, the minister in charge of infrastructure and energy. And I was in charge of energy in his cabinet. And from there, I moved on. My work was recognized. And so I was like headhunted and asked numerous occasions, why don't you apply? Why don't you apply? And then I applied and I became the director of the energy company locally, and I did that for 4 years. At the end of my contract, I returned to government, and now I am the head of statistics of the government of St. Martin.
Wow, long portfolio.
Yeah.
All right, so could you let the general public know what are your champion for this upcoming election? It's a parliamentarian election.
This election, I think if you look at what I'm championing, the core of what I'm championing is to work for the people. I really believe that our government was not focused on the people who are left behind. We saw an increase in poverty because remember in 2017 we were really hit hard. Some say devastated by Hurricane Irma. And after that, we were able to build back, and at the end of 2019, you could see in the figures, because that's what I do. I look at the figures. You saw in 2019, the bounce back of our economy, and we were really doing great. And in 2020, COVID hit. And when COVID hit, it was like a double shock. So there were so many people who ended up not being able to survive. You saw a decrease in the middle class, and not a reaction from government, like a sustainable reaction from government to soften the burden of the people. And now there's such a cry for help from the people. So how can you help the people? What I champion, there are, I would say, 3 things that I like to focus on. There's the education. To me, education is the key in everything. When you want people to excel, it's through education. And I'm not only championing academics, but I think that we need to look at what does the labor market need, and let's champion then that type of education. Let's get people educated in those fields. Another thing that I want to champion in education, we talk about the digital divide. That's just who has a computer and who doesn't have a computer. But the digital divide now is about AI. And not only St. Martin, every Caribbean country, I encourage them now to invest in AI education for their children, because AI is not something of the future. AI is now. When you hear about ChatGPT and all of these things, our children need to start learning coding from 4 years old. And there are programs, you can buy those packages for your children on Amazon and start teaching them coding, because believe you me, within 5 years, if our children are not familiar with coding, we won't be anywhere. So education, that's one way to combat poverty and to elevate your country. The other way is our island, we're in dire need of housing. Not only social housing, housing for students returning, to encourage them to return. So we have a shortage of, I think it was like 6,000 families that are on a waiting list. When I'm going around now in the neighborhoods, I am finding people where one person is like sleeping in the living room. They're not even related. You have the elderly who need assisted living, and the waiting list is so long. We have so many elderly with dementia, and they just can't get the help that they need, and their children can't provide them the help that they need to provide them because they're working 2 and 3 jobs. So, you know, so there's like so many things that are compounded. And then the third thing that I want to look at, yes, is the economy. I started when I came back home in the year 2000. I started in the Department of Economic Policy and Research. And my field is research, my field is statistics. I want to see more of research-based policy development. So let's get the numbers. We have the numbers now on the island. We just finished our census. In our 2022 census, we just finished it in 2023. We have the numbers now. Let's do research-based policy development. We know why it's there. Let's fix it. One of the things that stands out is the labor market.
Okay, as a statistician, now you've seen the numbers of the statistics on the island.
Yeah.
You can see the amount of people, and of course you can see the poverty line. What are you intend to do to help those folks that need help?
I think that what stands out is the labor situation on the island. We have so many people who do not have fixed jobs, so they are contract workers, 6 months contracts. It's supposed to be because they are seasonal, but what happens is that the businesses are taking advantage because they get 6 months, they get another 6 months, and then because of the laws, okay, they put them aside so they don't work then for maybe 6 months, and then they come back again. So it's like a loophole. But if this person is working for you for 25 years on 6 months contracts, that means that they are not seasonal. You need them the whole year. And if that's the case, then we need to bring in those people in the field. And my slogan is don't trust words, trust actions. And when it comes to taking people out from being contract workers to being fixed, when I entered the electricity company, I went in first in the supervisory board, and in the supervisory board, I strongly advised, that was the most that I could do, I strongly advised the management to bring in the almost 100 people that the electricity company had on contracts, and sometimes for 20 years. And I was ridiculed. Oh, she wants to sit on my seat. At that time, I had no interest to sit on anyone's seat. It was years after that I was asked then to become a director, and we came in, me and my 2 colleagues, because I was the COO and there was a CEO and a CFO. When we started the 1st of November, by the 1st of March, we brought in 75 of those people who were eligible, turning them from contract workers into employees of the company with uniforms, with their pensions, with the rights of employees. And what you get is that right after that, when we had the hurricane in 2017, you had workers who didn't care that their roof was gone, but they came out and worked and made sure that our community had electricity and water back. Because what I want to encourage business people is that once you help your employees and your employees feel good, they are going to produce more, and you're going to make more money. So I want the figures show in construction 80%, and in the tourism sector 80% of the employees are contract workers. We need to turn that around so that people are able to be permanent and they can get wealth. They can get a loan, a mortgage, etc., and build wealth. And
tell us a little bit about your slogan that says trust, action, and not words. That's correct?
Don't trust words, trust actions. So got a lot of people out there talking. A lot of people, I give you, for instance, agriculture. Yes, we want to do agriculture, but you have never, ever dug a sweet potato, you don't know how to see a sweet potato in the ground. You've never held a chicken in your hand, so you don't know animal husbandry. I came from agriculture, so when I talk about what we can do with agriculture and how agriculture can actually carry down your cost of living in the community, if we would only grow our own food here, even on a small scale, on a family scale, if you have a yard and it has been proven by research, if you have a yard and you have just 3 chickens, you have eggs, and you start with 3, you could have more, and then you can have chicken as well to eat. But you can have a little plot, and now you don't need a lot. There's backyard farming, there's porch farming. You don't need a lot. You can have your own tomatoes, you can have your own salads. So everything that you have is less that you have to buy. So you can bring down the cost of living. So when others champion, oh yes, I'm going to do agriculture, they don't know about it. So when they get in there, they don't feel it. They are not going to champion it. If they have to champion it next to something else, they are not going to choose for agriculture. So that's the don't trust words, trust actions. You want agriculture, then vote for someone who knows agriculture. You want renewable energy, then vote for someone who knows renewable energy. I have spoken on international stages on renewable energy. When people come to the island, they come to check our waste energy possibilities. They often find me because I'm the one who worked on energy and worked on waste energy in the cabinet of the former minister of energy. So I have the knowledge, I have the experience, and that's why I say don't trust words, trust actions. Ask someone who has the experience with it and who has been busy with it.
Let's dive a little into youth affairs and sports. What would be your take into youth affairs and sports? I'm very passionate about sports because I do believe that there is no job in this world today that pays more money than a sport athlete. What will be your take on sports and youth affairs?
I'm going to tell you, I don't know if you are more passionate about sports than me. I don't know if there's anyone more passionate about sports. I have seen sports change the lives of so many people, you know, and not only with making the money, but also with freeing up the mind and having just the achievement that comes with sports and the pride with sports. So it's sports is something that changes lives. Arts and culture is something that changes lives as well. So I don't know. I was the first female baseball player on St. Martin.
Oh, wow.
When I was 9 years old, I was old enough to sign up for Little League, for baseball. And I stood in a long line. And when it was my turn, the 2 leaders of the baseball at the time, and this was the sport to play at the time in the 80s. So when it was my turn, they told me, no, you can't play because we don't have any girls playing. So I said, no, but I can play, because I had an older brother, and it was only the 2 of us, so we had to play together. So I said, no, I want to play. And they said, no, you can't play. The following year, they made a mistake on the TV, and they said, bring your boys and girls. So I told my mother, I said, listen, they said I can come this time. So I went, stood in the long line again, and when I got there, they said, no, you can't play. I said, no, you said on TV, I can play. So I am here now, and I'm going to sign up, and I'm not going home today, I'm going to play. And like that, they said, okay, we'll sign you up then, but there are no other girls. I said, I don't care, I can play. So I played with the boys, and my mother would put my hair under the cap, so I look like a boy, and I would go and play. And after me, the other girls came and asked my mother, how did you get her in? So I champion sports. I encourage females to play. I'm one of those lifelong learners. I actually studied sports management as well. Well, we did a course, my husband and I, we did a course in sports management so that you could be a sports leader. Because I want to get as many people as possible involved in sports. We have, I have been the president of our St. Martin Baseball Association, also as the first female. I have also then, at that time we were still in Netherlands Antilles, and I demanded a position on the Netherlands Antillian Baseball Federation as the president here, and I became the secretary there over in the National Baseball Federation. And in that position, I traveled with the gentlemen who now play in the major leagues as young boys. Before they were scouted, I was their delegation leader to the Netherlands when we went to play a big international tournament there against Japan, against Chinese Taipei, against all of those. I was a delegation leader. I don't see a glass ceiling. I don't keep myself back, and I try to bring my people up with me. We took 6 people from 6 players from St. Martin along with us. Some of them, were in talks, but they didn't make it as far as the major leagues. I think one went to play in Japan. So I tried to do that. Youth affairs, I haven't seen much that has been done with youth affairs. However, I do see the people who work in government now in youth affairs trying to focus more on some projects. The main project that I have seen that has been very successful so far has been a youth work program where the students coming back to the island and the young people here in the high schools get a chance to work. And that is really good because young people learn the responsibility of working, of getting up in the morning and going to work, and what it's like in an office, what it's like out in the field, because what they do is they send them. So they send them around to these different areas. So because our young people, it will sound cliche, it's like the youth are our future. They are, but we need to invest time in them. We need to invest time, and that's where sports and arts and culture comes in. You cannot have a country that is complete without sports, arts, and culture. You will be lacking.
Okay, then it left me to ask you this question. What do you think about the current political system that we have in St. Martin? The current political
system?
The whole system of the politicians, the way it governs, the way we governs. What do you think of the new system that we have?
I think that there are quite a lot of challenges. You can see where you would want to have changes. What is difficult with making changes in our political system is that you have 15 parliamentarians, and any change that you want to make, you need a majority of 10 to agree. And most of the time what we have seen is that with the coalitions, the most you get is 9 for the government, and then you don't have that 10th one. And there has been so much talk about electoral reform, but to get it done and to get those 10, it's not happening. It's not as if government has its back to the wall and can't move. Money is there. This is the richest government that there has been since 10-10-10. This government has the trust fund money. It's a grant. It's a lot of money. It's hundreds of millions. However, in order to free up this money, to use this money, you need to be able to run programs. You need to be able to make programs and projects in those programs. So you need, when our government, when our party gets elected, one of the first things that we have to do is to put our programs and projects bureau in place. And all they have to do all day is to write and make these projects so that they can apply then for the money from the trust fund and make use of the money from the trust fund, because the money is there. So there's a lot more that government can do. But to me, it's like a willingness. They have to understand the system and they have to want to do it.
So when the government says our back is against the wall, what could you enlighten us, if you may, on what they mean by our back was against the wall?
I don't think their back was against the wall. I understand what happened with COVID. I understand that in the sense that I was in the electricity company when COVID broke out. All of us, we didn't know what it was. We didn't know if we should go outside, if it's in the air. We didn't know what was going on. So we adjusted as we went along and we went through it. But then after that, the opportunity came where funds was released. Now, in the case of the electricity company, we were the first company, the first entity to have a report on what our damages were, what do we need for us to continue, etc. So when the trust fund come, our project was one of the first projects that was signed because we made a project. We knew how to do it. And I can say I knew how to do it because I came out of a program and projects department and having done project management and program management before. So government now needs to also work on developing their projects. If you want to fix the school with the trust fund money, you need to make a project for schools. You make a program for all schools and then a project for each school. And then you need to put it out on bid. It's an entire process.
Right, let's dive a little into one of the hardest topics that is on the island now, which is same company that you speak highly of, NVGEBE. What is your take on GB, the whole saga situation that been damping the island for the past 2 years?
I worked in GB from 2016 November until November, October 31st, 2020. So for 4 years. When we left the company rebuilt and healthy, with healthy coffers. When we left, our contract was not renewed. We were not given any reason why not. I guess there are reasons. We were never told. We got a very nice letter that we did a great job and thank you and we're moving on. Good. Since then, they have never had another director or as a stable director, because I think once in the last year or so, they finally appointed a COO, they went to court and they got rid of him. So there was instability. After we left, there was instability in management. I think there were a total of 3 or 4 people who have been there since. So there's this at different intervals. There's instability, then you had the hack. And the manner in which the hack was handled, I think that it was handled incorrectly. I think that a situation was created that they had a lot of difficulty solving. It took almost 2 years. You can say that they have the billing back up now, but it took almost 2 years. What I keep saying is, if it took 2 years for you to solve this issue, give the people 2 years to pay back as well, and then the new bills, let the people pay the new bills now. But people were asking to pay their bills. I had a tenant was asking, can I please have a bill? He never got a bill, and then he got 12 bills. And he was told, pay it by next week. And you cannot do that. You cannot do that. You cannot expect that, and you cannot think that that is normal, and you cannot say, okay, I don't care Christmas is coming or not, I am cutting you, sir, because you didn't pay these 13 bills.
So with your leadership skill and with your knowledge of that, would you ever go back into that field? The energy field?
You should never say never. However, I think that there's a time for everything. And I think that I went in there. I accomplished a lot, and I moved on. And now, what I did in the company, I want to do in the country. So I want to move on, because.
But our country needs an expert in these fields, and you seem to be the person that has the expertise in these fields.
Our country needs more than just energy. Our country needs someone who can focus on energy. We need someone who can focus on roads, someone who can say something about education, someone who can say something about all of these other fields. And I don't limit myself to one field, you know. I've been there. I've done it. I've represented St. Martin in Carolec. I represented St. Martin in Trinidad, in energy conferences, in Texas, in energy conferences. I've done that, and I won't say never, because I loved the work that I did in there, and not only electricity but in water. I mean, during my tenure. Even before the hurricane, we rebuilt 3 tanks. And then after the hurricane with the devastation, I think we lost a total of, was it 8 or 9 tanks? And we had to rebuild those. So I accomplished a lot there. And I changed a lot of ways of working, because like I said, we had contractors were the ones who had to install the piping to the tanks. And I was like, why can't our GB people do that? So I changed those kind of things. I use project management in there, and I use it in everything. I'll make a whole problem tree of everything, and then let's find out what are the key areas that we need to focus on. And I did that for the whole water management of the island. And based on that, we knew where we're going to build our tanks, what we're going to execute now, what we're going to execute next. And that, I can apply that to the rest of the country. So
okay, let's go into the wrap-up stage now. Before we wrap it up, I want you to tell the general public of St. Martin and the voters that is going out there and vote why they should vote for you.
Vote for someone who has experience, someone who knows government, someone who is mentally capable to handle the job. Most importantly, someone who you can call. I am accessible for the public. I want to be there for the public. They can call me, they can visit me, they can tell me what their issues are, they can invite me to come and see. So I want people to vote for someone like that, not someone who will pass you straight later. And you vote for someone like me, and together we will take St. Martin forward. Ladies and gentlemen, on January 11th, I want you to go out and vote. Vote for number 3 on the URSM slate. We are the 6th list on the ballot. Go to the 6th slate, and under the picture of Dr. Marcelina, I want you to look for Jansen, Webster, Veronica, C, and you put a dot in the circle. Do not write anything else on the ballot. You fold the ballot and then you deposit it. So on January 11th, vote for Veronica Jansen Webster, number 3 on the URSM. Don't trust words, trust actions. My name is Veronica Jansen Webster, and this is where I began. I grew up on a pasture just like this in French Quarter, and my fondest memory is together with my family moving the cattle from the French Quarter pasture to my grandfather's land in Dutch Quarter, where we also had a pasture. In order to move the cattle from French Quarter to Dutch Quarter, it required not only speed, but strategic thinking. Because cattle would not walk the straight road. You would always have to be alert and be ready to run ahead and guide them in. I used that strategic thinking and that speed later when I joined the Little League as the first female baseball player. I really love baseball and softball. Not only was I the first female baseball player in St. Martin, but I later went on to become the first female president of the St. Martin Baseball Association. And as the president of the St. Martin Baseball Association, I also became the secretary of NABAFE, the Netherlands Antillian Baseball Federation. And I went on as NABAFE secretary to become the delegation leader for the national team to the Netherlands for the Haarlemse Honkbal Week. And what was so interesting with that is that I was able to be the delegation leader of many young men who today I see on my screen when I look at Major League games. They have all gone on to become Major League players. At that time, we took 6 St. Martin players along with us so that they could get that exposure as well. And I must say, although they have not made it to the Major Leagues, at least 2 of them went on to become international players. And I just want to let our young people know that you too can do it, just like Curaçao is able to produce those Major League players. We have the raw talent on St. Martin that we too can have Major League players, we can have NBA superstars. From the pasture to the ball field to the boardroom. Not only as a former member of the supervisory board of GB, but I later went on to become the first female COO of NVGB. Many people question, when I assumed that position, how would I be able to handle such a technical position? However, I must say that it's through education. Education is the key, because had I not done the power plant basics, the courses in management, the courses in human resource management, financial management, strategic planning, budgeting, I would never have been able to successfully complete the 4-year term in a very difficult period in GB from 2016 to 2020. We, as a 3-member board of directors, went through not only Hurricane Irma, but the beginning of the pandemic. And we came out at the end of our 4-year term successful, with GB coffers back to the starting point when we entered.
Straight for Parliament, they running. Straight for Parliament, they coming. This party going hold it down. They going hold it down. Straight for Parliament, they coming. Straight for Parliament, they running. This party going hold it down. They going hold it down. One party must get it started and stand for this generation.
Important information. Election Day is on the 11th of January. Voting stations are open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Selling your vote is a crime. Voting is a fundamental democratic right and a crucial civic duty that ensures representation, accountability, participation, and progress within a society. Step into the voting booth and cast your vote. When you are done, place the ballot in the bin.